defense. They play terrific defense in the middle of the lane, and he's a big part of it.
And we'll see if the Buckeyes can bounce back from their first conference loss. Start of the year 9-0 in Big Ten play. Lost at the buzzer. Penn State played so well last weekend. They've had a few days to recover from that, get rested. Caleb Wesson, talented young freshman, uses the left hand against the first basket.
A great move, because Caleb Wesson is going against best player on Indiana and Juwan Morgan. Great move by Chris Holtman. They were throwing that ball in no matter what. Nobody was shooting a jump shot. That was going high-low. Tate to Wesson as soon as Wesson established position.
And speaking of bouncing back, Indiana played Purdue so tough at home on Sunday. Here's Roberts from the free throw line. That's the first bucket for the Hoosiers. But one thing that really hurt Indiana against Purdue, Isaac Haas and his ability to score and pass down low.
Well, Indiana had to make a choice. You got to pick your poison. They finally doubled him a little bit late. Haas was still able to make a play out of it. He just was terrific. Best player on the court was Isaac Haas.
Jayshawn Tate having a really good year as a senior for Ohio State.
He plays right there. You see him going to his left hand. He plays in the middle of the lane.
Open jumper. McRoberts has made his first two.
He's the second best player in Indiana's team.
He is?
He is. He has been fantastic. Juwan Morgan's the best. I think Robert Johnson probably is a key, meaning if he scores, Indiana can play. But Zach McRoberts is guarding Bates Diop. Zach McRoberts shoots the ball. He defends. He comes up with all the big plays. And this is a kid who didn't play basketball for a year.
Wesson down low.
You see right there, they tried to double Bates Diop. Bates Diop's too slick. He just has too much game.
We'll talk a lot about Keita Bates Diop tonight. Wesson, pretty nice play for the big man. He brings the ball up himself, but Bates Diop, who's got it now, that all-around game. He can shoot, he can drive, he can dunk, he can pass, he can play defense.
Reminds me of Grant Hill. He just does everything smooth. There isn't any holes in his game. He can shoot as deep as you want. He can shoot around the basket. He can block shots. He can do that. No holes in his game.
Most of those shots have gone down for Bates Diop. Missed most of last year with injury. There's Johnson, too strong. Back and forth action here in the early minutes from Columbus. Jayshawn Tate double teamed. Indiana using that double team early in this one. Bates Diop goes to the bucket and scores.
I'm telling you, I thought he would shoot the three. Hit three in a row against Penn State to eventually tie the game with 5 seconds to go, but he is so smooth. He makes basketball just look easy.
It almost looks like he's going slowly, and then he's at the rim.
Right.
Open three. That's the freshman Smith, who comes up way short. McRoberts, good hustle, but I'm not sure that helps Indiana saving it in bounds. Advantage, Ohio State. Cam Williams rushed it. Tip is good by Tate.
Hey, Cam Williams knew he missed it, yelled out. Tate got to the ball on the left side because Wesson had covered the right side. You don't block out Tate, you got a problem. Tate's terrific. He's been a leader. He's been a defender. Big-time late-game scorer. Not a shooter, just a player.
Josh Newkirk, Indiana needs more out of him.
Yeah, needs more out of him defensively, offensively, assists to the rim, you name it. They need more out of him.
Wesson with Bates Diop posting up against Johnson. That should be a mismatch. Finds the cutting Tate for the layup.
Tate is so smart. He did not stay. He could have stood at the foul line. Instead, he just sprinted to the front of the rim, and Bates Diop made it look easy.
Shot blocked by Bates Diop.
Bates Diop has made 5 really good defensive plays already in this half.
In the first 4 minutes, and Cam Williams hits the jumper. That's a 10-0 run for the Buckeyes. Ohio State's not been a quick starting team this year.
No, haven't been a quick starting team at all. And they've fallen down, and they make some moves later in the half.
Morgan, what's the call? No basket, offensive foul.
And they're
just come together beautifully.
Yeah, in a way, it's been addition by subtraction. Some of the kids that left were about themselves. You know, Jayshawn Tate said after, I believe it was the Maryland game, this is the only team he's ever been on that didn't have any type of agendas or any type of egos. And so you know, when you get that and you get a lot of talent.
Chris Holtmann was the Big East Coach of the Year last year. I think he's going to be the Big Ten Coach of the Year this year. Certainly got a great argument. Al Durham came up short. The freshman misses the jumper. That is 7 straight possessions for Indiana without points. Tate pull-up jumper, no good.
You don't see that very often. Jason Tate usually doesn't settle. If he's going to shoot a jumper, it's normally going to be at the end of the clock. Right here, you cannot let Morgan get the ball. You can help off McSwain, but you cannot let Morgan sit in the post because McSwain's man should be there to help if you front Morgan.
And Juwan Morgan's having a spectacular year himself. Good pass, reverse layup from McSwain, no good. Morgan, though, cleans it up.
Morgan's been great. Morgan is a first-team all Big Ten player, maybe the most improved player in the country. Certainly he and C.J. Jackson, the point guard for Ohio State, are the 2 most improved players in the Big Ten, but Juwan Morgan has been not good. He's been great.
At times has carried Indiana. It has not been a really good
opportunity here. A few minutes in the first half. That's it.
And he's playing 17 minutes a game and really important minutes for a top 20 Ohio State team as a grad transfer. There's Andrew. Bates Diop 3. Potter, good hustle for the offensive rebound. Tate, offensive foul.
Does everything you want done as a coach.
Well, if he missed it a few minutes ago, Dan described him as Indiana's second best player. He averages 2.8 points a game.
It's amazing. I mean, it really is. It's absolutely amazing how good he has become. He makes every play. They keep him in for 35, 38 minutes in big situations.
Robert Johnson, you said it, to the bench quickly, but now back on the floor quickly again, and he's got it with the shot clock winding down. Andrew Dockich got a hand on it, and that forced.
Archie Miller was an assistant coach here. The Indiana job opened. They went after Archie Fred Glass, the athletic director, and then all of a sudden, later on, the Ohio State job opened. So it could have been the opposite, really. If the Ohio State job had opened first, I would assume that Archie Miller would have been the guy for Ohio State.
C.J. Jackson off the pass from Potter.
Potter's played great. Potter in limited minutes. He had 13 at Northwestern. He's come in the game, gotten a rebound, and made a great pass for a 3.
Al Durham cannot make a 3-point basket. And he's a pretty good natural shooter. And he has that. I don't think he's made one since December. That's a 3 from Devontae Green.
He hasn't made him either, but he is dangerous. Devontae Green is Danny Green's brother. If you're Danny Green's brother, I guarantee you can shoot. I promise you.
Well, we know Danny Green can shoot. And Devontae Green, it just does not make sense. You look at his numbers. He's shooting 26% from 3 for the year. Bates Diop backing his way in from the baseline. Nifty move.
I'm telling you, he has an NBA game. He shoots the ball high. He carries it high like it's never below his waist. You can see Andrew Dockich is playing off Al Durham, begging him to shoot.
And that's the scouting report, right? He's not making shots from the outside. McSwain baseline. That's not really his game.
His game is around the basket. Again, Chris Holtmann daring 2 guys to shoot. This is a tough lineup for Indiana.
Bates Diop finds Andre Wesson, who hits the 3.
That's the same spot. Andre Wesson hit the biggest 3 maybe of their year. Left corner against Nebraska. Gave him the lead, kept the lead. Got to win.
He likes that spot. McSwain throws it to Dockich. 2-on-2. Jackson. Potter really active in the early minutes with the foul.
Tell you what, Micah Potter.
The Diop to Keita Bates's last name. It's not a family name. It's just to honor a guy that he likes very much. And it gives you, I think, just some insight into not just Keita, but his family and kind of what they're all about. Really interesting story.
I have a great time. I sit every game with Richard Diop, or Richard Bates, excuse me, and he is just a quiet, great dude. We were cheering like crazy when he hit the 3 to make the game tied against Penn State, and then we got all sad when it when it didn't happen. So we had the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat back to back, he and I.
I don't know about some of those shots from Indiana, a couple of wild chucks. Hoosiers are in some trouble here. We're halfway through the first half, down 15. But Dad Richard, Mom Wilma, Kata grew up in Normal, Illinois, college town, went to University High School, affiliated with Illinois State. He's already graduated. Kata Bates Diop has got his econ degree in 3.5 years. There's Andrew with the three.
Good. That came off hard left. I think Justin Smith had a little bit to say about it.
Here's Smith down low and a foul. Seems like a long time ago, right? Bates Diop has had some injuries, but he was a top 50 high school player.
He was the leading scorer on a team last year, until he got hurt 7 games in. So this is not one of those deals where, he's out of nowhere. He has been good from the jump. And, people forget that D'Angelo Russell played here.
It was a short career, but productive. Not a great entry pass. Good job by Morgan, who now gets tripped up as Indiana brings it onto the offensive side. Newkirk, they need one of these to go down.
No, that's a bad shot. Newkirk hasn't made anything. Morgan hasn't touched the ball. All Morgan's done is run up and down the court. He's got to be the guy that they play through this entire basketball game. Quick threes are not going to get it done.
Morgan and Johnson by far their best players. There's
Ball when he's in the game moves a little bit better for Ohio State, and they're trying to take that away with some size.
That's what Andrew does. Good passer, facilitator.
This is all about trying to get it inside to Wesson right here if they can.
Tate with the shot clock winding down, got it off and got the friendly.
That's a hometown rim right there. That's a bad shot that bounced left. Hit left, the rim gave twice.
Everything going well for Ohio State in the early minutes. Another 10-0 run for the Buckeyes. Smith muscling his way in with a foul.
Yeah, that was a good.
They were there.
Yeah,
he was spectacular.
Yeah, he was great.
And this is the chance for the three-point play. He played with Jalen Brunson in high school outside of Chicago. Stevenson High School. He's played with high-level kids coming up. I'm with you. Justin Smith's going to be a very good player for Indiana. Bates Diop back in after a brief rest against McRoberts, who played good defense, forced the travel. A team that has Final Four dreams. Dan, I thought one thing interesting in the preseason, you picked Ohio State to go to the Final Four. You were the only one. But people thought you were insane.
Well, they still do. But
they were picked to finish 11th in the Big Ten, and you predicted they were going to go to the Final Four.
Well, let's be honest. I'm not sure that anybody really understood.
That's great passing.
That is. That needed to go in for Cam Williams. He's the kind of guy. You see him running back. He jumps up. He lets a bad shot or a missed shot really kind of affect him.
Here's Green for three. Too strong. Indiana's shots just aren't going down for the Hoosiers.
They got to quit shooting after one pass. Indiana needs to move the ball, play through Juwan Morgan, and those same shots will go in, I promise you.
Bates Diop.
Got to go in.
They do play through the big guy. When he's on the floor, they get the ball inside. And it's stripped away. Wesson got it back. Those good hands.
Big guys have two things. Great hands and great feet, or else they could not play at this level. And Wesson has both.
He just committed. This is going to sound weird. The Big Ten has some of the best finisher between Vincent Edwards, who's a great finisher around the rim.
Tate is a great finisher around the rim.
Excellent. Juwan Morgan is.
Who might be the best at different angles is Nick Ward. Nick Ward makes shots all day long for Michigan State.
Ethan Happ, I was thinking about him.
Was he good last night?
Great win for Nebraska on the road. Tate. Shot clock winding down. Not a great pass. Stolen by McRoberts.
No, when you make a pass to the post, it's got to be on the bounce. You throw that chest high or shoulder high, the defense can come over the top. Got to go to Morgan here.
Indiana's defense has picked up. They got to get it going on this end of the floor. Morgan fouled. And they're good again, Mississippi State. I do remember that shot.
Mississippi State.
What else can't you remember?
What I ate.
What day it is.
College.
Those 4 years.
Fantastic defensively. Their problem against Illinois was Illinois just played harder in the second half. Indiana didn't react. Their problem against Purdue was that they just didn't play well down the stretch against Purdue.
Yeah, the last few minutes of both those games did not go well for the Hoosiers. Wesson scooped it up and scored.
What great hands. I mean, a fantastic drive by C.J. Jackson. And then Wesson just absolutely devoured the basketball.
Mr. Basketball in the state of Ohio.
Stepped in there and knocked it off of him. Usually Morgan splits that and goes and gets an and one.
You can call him Andrew, by the way. I'm giving you permission. You can call your kid by his first name. Nah?
I call him a lot of things at a lot of different times.
Wesson again.
How good is he?
They can't handle it.
You know what? They're doing their work late. And what I mean by that is Morgan isn't bumping Wesson until Wesson gets set up on the block. You got to do your work early and bump him at the foul line.
5 for 5, 10 points. Good first half for Caleb Wesson.
Pretty good freshman.
Mr. Basketball in the state of Ohio. He's lost 50 pounds since coming to college.
Yeah, he's worked really hard. His dad was a big old guy, too. His dad was a really good player.
Move, but no finish.
You just can't play without throwing the ball to Morgan if you are Indiana.
Musa Jallo pushes off. Something happened. Although people asked him before this game, you know, is this a huge game for you? He goes, I didn't really grow up much of an Indiana fan. In Bloomington. What's his high school gym? About 2 miles from Assembly Hall. The ball was tipped, although C.J. Jackson didn't agree.
Yes, his high school gym is right by Assembly Hall, right down the street.
McSwain, one dribble, and he missed it. You got to finish that.
Boy, that was a great setup by Indiana. Got the shot they wanted.
Bates Diop trailing. Misses the three.
Remember that. Big miss. Had a chance to go up 19. Watch how the end of this half goes now.
Andrew harassing Robert Johnson, who has had a really quiet half. Lobs it. Morgan, tough catch. Shot fake.
How about
scores.
That? I'm telling you, Morgan is so good in hey,
all valid points, I think. Yeah, that's another push.
Let Trae Young go wherever he wants. You've got to keep him on a side. You got to switch, trap every single screen, and then if you're not going to switch, you got to come up, and then you got to play no catch. He has to be made to work to get the basketball. I would pick him up full court once in a while just to make him incredibly uncomfortable, and then you just pray. You know what I mean? You just pray. Just pray that it all worked out for you.
There's a bucket for Green. So that's, you know, I'm not saying that even if you do all those things, it's necessarily going to work. That's kind of the final point you're making is still might not work as talented as he is.
No, but they will. I've seen so many teams just let him be. Just let him be another guy. No.
Yeah, you can't do that.
No, you can't do that at all.
He's not another guy.
No, you've got to make him, keep him on a side, make him uncomfortable.
Bates Diop. Defended well by Morgan. Wild miss. Here come the Hoosiers.
Yeah, Indiana has bunched it up. They're helping off Dockage, helping a little bit, just a little bit off of C.J. Jackson, and Morgan didn't make the extra pass. Excuse me, Bates Diop didn't make the extra pass.
McSwain, this time, can he finish? No.
Boy, he's gotten good looks.
Really good looks. Great outlet.
That's a heck of a pass by Dockage, but even a better run out by Bates Diop. Bates Diop sprinted right down the middle and just whipped everybody, and then a tough finish around McRoberts.
See, now you think it was a better run out. I think it was a better pass.
It was a great pass, but it's my son, and I'm tired of people, you know.
That was a great outlet pass.
That was a great pass.
I think Andrew's biggest strength this year watching the Buckeyes. Here's Morgan, had it poked away, got it back, and finishes.
Man, Potter was right there. Potter knocked it out of Morgan's hands, and Morgan has such great hands that he was able to go get it back and lay it in.
When you watch your kid on the offensive end, we'll see if he has a chance on this possession. He delivers the ball. He doesn't just get it to the right guy. He puts it in exactly the right spot where somebody's ready to shoot. C.J. Jackson was ready to shoot. That was Andre Wesson's pass.
That was a great pass by Wesson. It was a cross court over two heads that had their backs turned to the ball. Jackson just came off a little flare. Great action by Chris Holton. Indiana. Well, Shaka and I talk somewhat, not often, but occasionally. Man.
Jackson got his hands on the ball, stole it right.
And that tells you pretty alert by Ohio State.
McSwain fumbled. McRoberts with the shot clock winding down. Wesson defends him well. Potter rebound, and the shot clock will not be off, but almost exactly the same game clock, shot clock.
All right, this will be interesting. Indiana only 4 team fouls, so they can give a few.
see if they want to or not. No indication from the bench.
I tell you what, Terry Johnson was screaming at C.J. Jackson. He had less than 1 second to get that ball across half court.
That would have been an unforced error.
That would have been sit down a while.
That's a whistle, and they do. Whether they get.
They got into, and I mean into, out here. I don't care who else does. It cannot be Robert Johnson.
Green, no good, and the horn will sound.
The reason I said that is Robert.
And they got to play through their best player.
You have to.
I mean, it felt like, I didn't count, but it felt like Freddie McSwain got more touches and shots in the first half than Juwan Morgan did.
Great cut.
That is.
You see on the bottom, just a nice cut. McRoberts made a bad play going over the top. Never go over the top of baseline screens. Always go underneath.
Now Devontae Green starting, not Josh Newkirk the second half for Indiana. I think that's notable.
He should be starting. He can make shots. He's made a couple in this game.
Pretty good pass to McSwain. And Green missed the layup. Indiana's missed about 5 layups.
Man, they really have. They've had good looks.
I think that's when you look at this Hoosiers team, they're not making outside shots, but they're just not making enough shots, period. Tate scored.
Tate got a running start from the right wing, out-hustled everybody on Indiana. He sprinted. Everybody on Indiana just jogged. He competed. Everybody on Indiana was just playing a game.
Another good pass, another missed shot. Morgan finishes.
Yeah, Morgan just knows. Shots have been offensive rebounds. Look, to me, you've got to play through him. You've got to get him the ball every possession. I mean, he is the guy.
What a pass.
That's a set that Chris Holtman uses constantly, and it is always Cam Williams with the back cut.
And he knew just what to do when he got that pass from the big guy, Caleb Wesson. Here's Morgan, so they're playing through him this time. Got a shot blocked by Bates Diop.
Telling you. Bates Diop plays with his hands above his shoulders. Now think about that.
Runner with some contact, didn't finish. Loose ball. Tate gets up limping a little bit, but looks like he's all right. Green open, 3.
Yeah, he's confident. You can tell that's a big 5-point swing. Bates Diop took a bad shot. You don't see that very often out of him after a good defense. And I'm telling you, Green feels it. Green's the kind of guy that can go ahead and hit 6 or 7 threes here in a half.
Indiana may need that. There's still a long way to go, though, in this game. Jackson for 3. In and out. I think you're right. Green looks like a confident player right now.
He does. He's the one guy. And now if Robert Johnson can play off that, Indiana have a chance to get back in this.
Robert Johnson still has not scored. He's their second leading scorer. He's been really playing well of late. Shot clock winding down and not much happening. Morgan shoots the 3. Way off.
He had become a good shooter the day we did their game against Minnesota. He had made one. And then he made 3 in that game.
He has been shooting the ball pretty well from the outside. All year long, he's done everything else well. Wesson, spin move.
Too big, too strong. He can go either shoulder. Now, his footwork, his father's a really good coach of big guys. And he taught him a drop step with his left foot and a drop step with his right foot, where he not only drop steps, but he keeps his eyes on the rim, able to finish. A lot of big guys move and drop step, but they drop their head. You can't drop your head when you're in the post. They look down. He trusts his feet, enable him to look up at the rim. It's a little thing, but it makes all of the difference in the world.
Morgan to the bucket. Another one for Juwan Morgan.
Yeah, that was really good by Morgan. When a guy angled to the bucket, that's what happened there.
Created that lane, and Morgan took advantage of it. He's got 15 of Indiana's 30. Bates Diop is having a quiet game for Ohio State, and yet they're up big. That's a good sign for the Buckeyes. Jackson had it stripped away.
Yeah, good play by Green. Got his hand in there.
McSwain. Good.
Freddie McSwain ran the floor. Green has done a great job so far. He got his hand in there. He knocked it away. And McSwain ran the floor.
Now a little burst of energy from Indiana. Williams for 3. Yes.
He stepped. You can tell what he's going to make by how quickly he steps into his shot. There is a snap to him when you know it's going in, or at least it's getting over the front of the rim.
Tate was.
If you average 90 and you play Virginia, you're going to score in the 60s like we saw with Duke. I just think all three veteran teams, just, man.
Seems hard to believe all the good defense that Tony Bennett's teams have played. This is the best statistical defense they've ever had.
You know, I talked to him the other day, and it's funny. You know, people criticize them. Well, let's see what they do. They guard the heck out of you. I almost swore there. They guard you, and guess what? They try to get the best shot they can. Now, that's a pretty good formula for success, right?
Yes.
I mean, it worked for his dad.
Micah Potter for three, the big man.
Amazing what happens, Dave, when you just play hard. Micah Potter came into this game playing hard, really, really, really hard, and he steps out and knocks in a three. Only his fourth three of the year.
Andre West.
You just, you have to. That's not by coincidence, people.
They still, the metrics still like Duke. And I think, the point that you made about Duke is when you try to assess their prospects, that's a foul against.
And that's where the change in basketball, with more teams going to get 90, I'm interested to see how this goes. It makes it harder for a mid-major type job. Hey, I've known this crew for a long, long time, and if you are a visiting coach, you want this crew because they are not afraid.
Tournament projections, Joe Lunardi. He's got Purdue as a #1 seed. Michigan State as a 2 seed. This Ohio State team is a 4 seed. And Maryland still got a chance. Al Durham hits a 3 for Indiana.
They're letting Al Durham shoot. You know, in the first half, Andrew Doggett came in and played off Al Durham. They did it there. You know, Tate kind of looked at the coaches like, what the heck?
You keep talking. I'm going to try to actually find out when his last made 3 was. What you do. Keep doing what you do. Al Durham had not made a 3 since December 4th.
And that's why you saw, both in the first half and now, Ohio State playing off of him. They're not playing off him now. He's going to have to make a shot over Tate.
Funny how things change quickly. This guy's hot. Newkirk dribbles into a 3.
And Newkirk shoots the ball, and it looks like it's going in, but it just never does.
That's a problem for Indiana. Potter down low. Jumper, no good.
In terms of what Archie Miller is trying to develop, and that's toughness. Toughness, toughness, and more toughness.
A hallmark of his Dayton teams, just down the road from here in Columbus. Durham feeling it now. He made 1, so he's going to start shooting.
I couldn't hear him.
Who does he remind you of, Dan?
He reminds me.
We're putting these pictures up on the screen.
He reminds me of Steph Curry. He does. Hey, Kyrie Irving, he can, he finishes, but he does. He reminds me of Steph Curry. I just think that until the Oklahoma State game, Trae Young had not been a pig. He had not, a ball hog. He had not held on to it too many times. And in that game he did, and he learned. Next thing you know, but he reminds me of Steph Curry.
Yeah. He does so many things a lot like him.
Yeah.
Wesson down low, off the glass.
When in doubt, run a set, bringing a shooter off C.J. Jackson and immediately into the block against Juwan Morgan, who is not the most willing defender.
Well, Trae Young in Oklahoma, they follow us against Baylor. I'm going over 2. I think it'll be a big game for him. McRoberts for 3. Morgan got a hand on the rebound, but Ohio State comes away with it.
Yeah, I didn't hear the number. I would make it 26.5.
It's close to that.
Yeah, I think I'd go over.
Jackson missed it. Tate doesn't miss.
Always there. Moses Malone said at one time, I go after every offensive rebound hoping to get 2 or 3 a game.
He's the best little big man going. I mean, he's not a tall guy. He just plays big. Plays inside. Green crossover 3. Good.
Feeling good. C.J. Jackson got caught behind the screen. You've got to get now. You've got to play the game at hand. So what you have to do on Green is you have to get over the screen and make him drive left or right, whichever way you want him to go. Doesn't matter. Just can't let him stand behind and shoot.
Green's got 8 this half, 13 for the game, trying to keep Indiana in it. Wesson backing his way in, then picked up his dribble, had it stolen away. Morgan over the top. One dribble, and Wesson got back to swat it.
Boy, pretty good.
26 on the shot clock.
Here comes Green again off a screen-to-screener action.
That was a good little play by Indiana, but Morgan couldn't score.
So he bumped into Wesson, and let's put it this way, Wesson didn't give.
Andrew tried to thread one in there to Bates Diop. Young coach has been a difference maker here for Ohio State.
You know what? My son, obviously, with the ball here, said from the first moment, he said, Dad, these guys really, really care about you. And they have, and they've turned this program around in a very short time.
Bates Diop, who is having a tough time scoring, came up short there.
I think Indiana does a good job. Indiana individually defense is better than they've been in the last few years.
Freddie McSwain, not an outside shooter. McRoberts can make one from the outside. Morgan, one dribble. That one's swatted, but they've each only been here for this one season.
So athletic, he's just really dumb. I always wanted somebody to say about that. The dumb part I get, but he's just so athletic. But he just doesn't know how to play. That would be like the biggest compliment a Dockage could get.
We're still waiting for that one.
The dumb part I get every game. But again, Ohio State, Indiana's a good defensive team, and you see Indiana's not letting the ball go where Ohio State wants to let it go.
This game is not over. The lead is 16 for the Buckeyes. Tate muscles his way through. Tip is no good, but the second try from Bates Diop.
And he jumped a little. He's just so long on the second jump, it's incredible. And he just tapped it.
Morgan between the legs to make sure he doesn't fall out of bounds. He thought being pushed. He goes right into the cheerleaders.
Now, if I'm Johnson, I've got to go. I've got to go.
Robert Johnson, that is his first basket of the night.
And that's why I said he's got to go. He had the ball in the middle of the lane. He got a good switch, and you've just got to put your head down, make or miss. You got to go try to make a play.
Chris Holtman told me that he interviewed with you when you were the head coach at Bowling Green.
He did. He came to my house. I knew we were going to be fired, and I didn't really want to hire a young guy, so I hired a good friend of mine to get him a job for another year.
Okay, well, that's the explanation. I was sort of thinking, you didn't hire that guy?
Yeah, I'm a real genius.
Shot clock winding down. Andre Wesson traveled met this year, but it was not an easy 29. A lot of turnovers. Carter really played better. McSwain went up for the dunk.
Yeah.
And I think Lon Kruger is the perfect coach.
You limit Trey Young as a coach, you need to find, TV work.
Hey, you made an appearance, not sitting just next to me. It wasn't a distraction to McSwain at all. He made the free throw.
That's an ugly head, so I can't imagine that didn't distract you a little bit. I like the way Indiana plays on the ball. I mean, they get after you.
Indiana has done some good things tonight, but they're shooting 37%. Bates Diop, his outside shot is just a little off.
No, it is. It went dead right there.
This kid's pass. Green to McSwain.
I'm telling you, Green, they found something here tonight with Indiana. Green's got to be the guy moving forward, and you just let him have the keys and figure it out later. Only a sophomore kid has real ability and real toughness.
It's just been a mystery why he struggled so much. Potter to Bates Diop to the
back and won the game. You get a feeling like all these free throws that you're going to shoot here if you're Ohio State are huge. I feel like in this game, Robert Johnson and Green could go make a ton of shots here.
Green, he forced that one, although he thought there was a lot of contact. McSwain is playing really hard. He hasn't always been efficient.
You might have just seen why Green doesn't play all the time, because that was a terrible shot.
It's one thing to be feeling it. Morgan passes up the three.
How about
has his shot rejected?
I'm telling you, Bates Diop, he's played a great defensive game here.
It's his third block.
And it started from the first half. I mean, when he just went in and was in the right spot every time.
Smooth from Cam Williams.
How about the pass?
Great
Took
pass.
in the lane. That's what I'm talking about. Occasionally Ohio State gets too focused on their own. When they share it like that, they're tough to play against.
Johnson in the lane, had his shot blocked by C.J. Jackson. Morgan.
His hand above his head and really doesn't have to jump much.
Here we go again with Indiana at the free throw line. They're just a terrible free throw shooting team.
That's the only way to put it.
And they're 4 of 9 in this game. And they cost themselves a win at Illinois. They would have won that game if they'd made free throws. Even most of them, not all of them. Bates Diop cut off. Jackson catch and shoot. McSwain way up there. Still a long way to go. McSwain earns this
one win. This will probably be their second. But man, oh man, do they play hard.
Yeah.
You got new coaches in this league, and all three of them are similar in that they get their teams to play hard. And I include Archie Miller in that. Archie Miller, Holtman, Underwood.
You saw that note about the last Big Ten Player of the Year from Ohio State, Evan Turner. Archie Miller was an assistant coach, I think, when Evan Turner, maybe the year before, but he coached as an assistant here. Turner was a Buckeye, in and out. Offensive rebound, Tate. Dad played as a Buckeye. And he mentioned the consistency. 13 career double-doubles, 3 this year. That doesn't totally tell the story either.
He's been a terrific leader. His dad was a really good player. I mean, his dad, Jermaine, I tried to recruit him to Indiana. He played for Charlie Coles in Toledo. That's a Catholic Central High School. And I'll tell you what, he was a battler, just like his son. But he was bigger. You know, he had rangy, 6'8", long arm guy. He played at Cincinnati and Ohio State. Jeez.
Robert Johnson, he got away with a little push. Jackson, good look. Andrew Dockich, short on the 3.
Look at that hustle.
And no surprise who's the guy who tracks it down.
He just hustles. He leads by example. He leads with his attitude. Jayshawn Tate, I put him last week first team all-league. I don't know if he's going to get that kind of accolade, but he certainly deserves it.
They've out-rebounded Indiana by 11. Part of that is Indiana's missed a lot of shots. McRoberts comes away with a steal. Hoosiers really cannot afford empty possessions. They need shots to go down like that one for 3.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you what, that kid is playing a basketball game, and if you're Indiana...
C.J. Jackson makes the first.
Only a 12-point game.
I mean,
now
he just
14.
gave him 2 points.
Yeah.
Well, following us.
Here's another reason I like Jayshawn Tate. Who's hot? Green. Who's guarding him? Tate.
You're right. Green will go to the free throw line.
And yet, because of the season, because he may have found himself on the defensive end.
Career high 18 for Green. Now some pressure. Ohio State will break that press. Jackson, baseline with the basket.
Boy, really good by C.J. Jackson. One of the things that Ohio State loves.
Trae Young is the starter. He's the middle reliever. He's the closer. He's everything for Oklahoma.
I feel like one thing if I were an NBA guy, because let's face it, figuring out who an NBA player is and who an NBA player isn't the easiest thing. And if he wants to get better, how? Like, I mean, it's 4 times as important to be mentally tough. And if you think of all the great players, they've all worked and improved on their game, and they've all been strong-willed guys. If Trae Young is that, very few guys, maybe none, I'd pick over.
This time last year, we would not have said, but I think you can make an argument now. It looks like Donovan Mitchell may be a better NBA player than Lonzo Ball.
And that's because Donovan Mitchell is a tough dude.
How about that from Bates Diop? Just a perfect scenario for Ohio State down the stretch. Work, clock, and score.
Yeah, spread it out, slip the screen. C.J. Jackson, another good play.
Well, Indiana is going to have to regroup, go back home, get ready for Michigan State on Saturday night. You and I will be there. Hoosiers have played the good teams very well. Got a fourth block from Bates Diop.
Pretty good.
Really good.
He's really good.
He's going to play in the NBA.
A long time.
Green fouled on the shirt.
Do you think?
I do. I really do. Sports Center tonight on ESPN after Sports Center. Green missed that final free throw. It's going to be a barometer game for them.
Man, how about the...
It's kind of a cool moment. I thought this last weekend before the Purdue game, Victor Oladipo was at Assembly Hall.
Yeah, good for Indiana. Indiana never, and I mean never, other than a national championship team, recognizes their own team. So I was very happy to see Oladipo, a guy who played on Big Ten title teams, but not national title teams, get honored. That was great.
That's not a good quality. Celebrate your history. You got great history.
Nobody's worse at it than you. I'm telling you.
They're going to hang that on the...
They know. I say it all the time. I say it to the AD. I mean, you've got so much going on there. 81, 87.
Ohio State trailed for 23 seconds in this game. Pretty good all-around performance by the Buckeyes.
I thought Indiana came out sluggish, and I thought Ohio State took advantage.
Final 31 minutes, Indiana could never get it under 10. That's how consistent the Buckeyes were. That offensive rebound will do it.
10-1, Ohio State.
10-1 in Big Ten play. Nobody other than maybe one guy saw that coming.
Not two. My son saw it coming as well, and I guarantee if you talk to Keita Bates-Diop,